Welcome back to Jet Recaps. Today I will show you a romantic comedy, fantasy movie, titled Just Like Heaven. The first scene shows Elizabeth dreaming of a beautiful landscape garden. But she is awakened by a colleague from her catnap. Elizabeth is a young doctor working at a hospital in San Francisco. She is single but doesn't care, as her life revolves around her job. She would rather be attending to her patients in the emergency room all day than to go out on dates. Still at the hospital, she receives a call from her sister, Abby. Abby informs her of a blind date she has set up for her. Reluctant Elizabeth finally agrees to go when Abby kept on insisting. But unfortunately, on her way after her work shift, a truck collides into her. 3 months later, David, a former landscape architect, moves into Elizabeth's apartment. Still grieving his late wife, David finds solace in drowning himself in alcohol. All efforts done by his friend, Jack, to cheer him up has proved futile. One day at the apartment while drinking a beer, he runs into Elizabeth. They scream as they are shocked to see each other in same apartment. Elizabeth thinks he is a burglar while David thinks it is a rent scam, as he thinks the apartment may have been leased to them at same time. But Elizabeth insists it has always been her apartment. As she rambles about the apartment being hers, she suddenly disappears. Confused, David confides in Jack, who is also a therapist. But Jack thinks David must be seeing things due to his excessive drinking. After days of not seeing her, Elizabeth reappears again. Unaware of what's going on, she believes David must be mentally ill. And she threatens to call the police if David doesn't leave her apartment. But she is shocked when she couldn't pick up the phone. And then it dawns on David that Elizabeth must probably be dead. Now aware it is her spirit haunting him, David seeks for help. He tries to have her spirit exorcised from the apartment, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Elizabeth kept on insisting that she is alive. But unfortunately, she cannot remember who she is or what she does. And David appears to be the only one who could see and hear her. Finally, he consults Daryl, a psychic bookstore clerk. Though Daryl couldn't see or hear Elizabeth, he could feel her presence. And he confirms that Elizabeth is still alive. With that, David decides to help Elizabeth find out who she is, while she also helps him get over his alcohol addiction. As they find little reminders of her former life, they get closer. And one day, after she saves a man in a restaurant through David, they realize she is a doctor working in a nearby hospital. They quickly rush over to the hospital to find out what had happened. But they are disheartened to discover Elizabeth had been involved in an accident and has gone into persistent coma, with her body being kept on life support. Elizabeth tries to get her spirit back into her body, but to no avail. Having fulfilled his promise to help her find out who she is, David leaves. But he feels so lonely without her at the apartment. While at the hospital, Elizabeth sees her sister and her young nieces. As she follows them, she overhears the doctor's conversation with Abby. The doctor informs Abby of the hospital's decision to take Elizabeth off life support, as Elizabeth has always been against prolonging life when she was alive. Abby, wishing to honor Elizabeth's wishes, agrees to sign the release papers. Scared, Elizabeth returns to the apartment to talk to David. This led to them having a heart-to-heart conversation on the rooftop. And David takes her out to show her a beautiful landscape garden he designed. Elizabeth is surprised, as she had dreamt of the exact garden before. Then David makes her a promise to start designing gardens again, because he had stopped after the death of his wife. As David and Elizabeth spend more time together, their feelings for each other grows. And not willing to lose her, David pays Abby a visit. He tries to dissuade Abby from signing the paper to pull the plug. But Abby thinks David is mentally unstable for claiming that Elizabeth is still alive. And she chases him out of her house. However, her youngest daughter could sense Elizabeth's presence. Desperate to save Elizabeth, David decides to steal her body from the hospital. He asks Jack for help in stealing the body, which Jack reluctantly agrees to. Jack asks him his reasons for trying to save an imaginary person. And David admits it was because he loves Elizabeth. At the hospital, Jack is surprised as he recognizes Elizabeth to be Abby's sister. In college, Jack was once Abby's boyfriend. And they had both set up the blind date for David and Elizabeth. But unfortunately, Elizabeth hadn't made it to the date, because that was the night she had the accident. Hence the reason why David can see her, because they were meant to meet. In the course of stealing Elizabeth's body from the hospital, they get discovered. The security guards pursues them as they wheel the body away. A security guard finally catches up to them and pulls Jack away. But unfortunately, Elizabeth's breathing tube comes off in the process. With the breathing tube gone, Elizabeth's spirit fades away as she dies. But David manages to steal a kiss before he is whisked away. Pinned down by the guards, he watched in agony as Elizabeth stops breathing. But few seconds later, her heartbeat returns and she miraculously awakens from her coma. However, she doesn't seem to recognize David or anything that had happened. Dejected, David leaves and also moves out from the apartment. Now fully recovered, Elizabeth moves back into her apartment. But she feels a sense of loss as she moves around the apartment. She gets drawn to her rooftop, which has been transformed into a landscaped garden. She finds David there, who has gotten in with a spare key. Just as he is about to leave, she requests for the key back. And as he gives her the key, their hands touch. The movie comes to an end as David's touch restores Elizabeth's memory of him and the events that had happened during her coma. Recognizing who he is, she hugs and kisses him. If you enjoyed this recap, kindly like and subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon. Do let us know what you think about the movie in the comment section below. Enjoy other movie explanations on our channel. Thanks for watching.